Sorry about that. I was trying to clear my throat. But yes, this is Ask Christian Anarchist number 19. We are live on a good old Friday night, and nothing more than, well, what seems to be probably just like a pint of water. Now probably half a pint. A Bible, some good resources to help out, and of course, a nice microphone so you lovely people can hear my voice as I try to answer your questions for, well, obviously, Ask Christian Anarchist. So, if you're new to the show, keep in mind, probably not always going to be kid-friendly due to some of the people that we get coming on here, whether they be theist or atheist. And we are going to try to respond to as much questions as possible before we close up. And yes, I know I did start a little bit earlier for this one, but hey, what can you do? I've got some plans these days. Anyways, so if you got any questions and you're watching in the live chat and you want to ask them there, I'll try to keep my eyes open and answer it in the live chat, so type in if you want. Or if you want to join the live broadcast, hey, feel free to hit me up and I will give you the link to join. So until then, let's try to get started on Ask Christian Anarchist number 19. We have a little slow startup with the group that's already in here. We only have Gabby, Princess Gabriella. She's been on a couple times. Welcome back, Gabby.
Hi.
Hey. All right. So, how are you doing?
I've been better.
That's good. So, I had someone that just messaged me saying 7:09 by my watch. So, yes, I know I did kind of start a little late, but well, I tried to wait to see if I get more people in here, but well, this is what we're starting with so far. We got Gabby. Gabby, do you have a question for us?
Let's see. I've been thinking about this all week. Oh gosh. I thought about it all last week, and now I can't think of the question.
What, did it slip them? What, slipped your mind?
I guess so.
Yeah, I always hate it when that kind of stuff happens. Oh, don't worry, it'll probably eventually come back to you.
It'll come back to me, hopefully. Daddy? Yes, Alexis?
All right, so while she is working on that, we are going to just continue onward to see if we got any more questions. And I see we have Sister Hipster that's in the live chat. Hello, sister. How are you doing? You and Sister Hipster glasses. Anyways. But, yeah, while we're waiting on any questions or anything, I mean, is there any other, like, general things that you wanted to talk about, Gabby?
What's your favorite character in the Bible?
My favorite character probably would be Paul. And that's simply because he has a interesting conversion story. He went from being the persecutor who hated the Christians and Christ to ultimately converting to being one of the greatest apostles who writes half of the New Testament. And he was devout in his evangelism and his efforts to go and preach the message unto the Gentiles. So that would be one of my favorites.
That's cool.
And then I got someone in the live chat saying, what about Jesus? Well, of course, Jesus. But hey, I'm pretty sure if you're a person who reads the Bible, everyone's favorite is Jesus. It can't just be the cliche person. So yes, Jesus first, Paul second. And I haven't even considered the third. Okay, all right, so we got a question in the live chat from Sister Hipster. And we, by the way, welcome G Conscience.
What's going on, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How about yourself?
All right, just rolling. Peace to the sister also.
Yes. Who's talking to you, Gabby?
Huh?
He's saying peace.
Oh, peace.
Yeah. So then we got so Sister Hipster asks, what you going as to your next convention? The anime convention I'm going to pretty soon in March is Louisiana Anime Festival, and I have no idea yet. I'm probably gonna pick up my old Charlie Scene outfit that I did from when I went to Acon that one time, but I have gone to this local cosplay shop and I've had some ideas. I'm probably thinking of it like an original Christian-based type of character, having red sunglasses and such. I'm still working on the concept, but the other idea may be some kind of steampunk kind of thing. I got like the big goggles, the cap, and I'm got some stuff to improvise at the house with. So those might be a couple of things. But of course, when I go, I'm not just going to go with that. I'm going to go with a few New Testaments and the Gospel Otaku pamphlet, which Sister Hipster actually helped me produce. She made the artwork for it, and you can get it for when you go to your next anime convention and want to preach the gospel. Just email me at askchristiananarchist@gmx.com to receive your free digital copy so you can print these out on your own and ship them off. So we are helping to spread the word of God definitely to those in the otaku fandom. Always good thing to do. All right, so thank you, sister, for your question, and of course, as usual, thank you for your contribution to the gospel tract. It's I think we're definitely reaching some people with there. Oh my, Gabby, might want to mute yourself there.
Sorry.
No, it's cool. It's cool. I just almost busted my eardrum a bit. All right. So let's see there. So thank you, sister. G Conscience, how you doing?
Oh man, I'm doing pretty good.
All right, pretty good. Yeah, I saw you're going to be having you've got your own radio show on what talk radio or debate radio or something.
Um, Blog Talk Radio, just a little blog talk, G Conscious Radio. So it's pretty cool. I got a David Rowe coming over.
That's what I was just about to mention. Yeah, I remember seeing him in that documentary about the Exodus, where I have never researched the thing, and I remember a guy named Floyd on here would always bring it up. It's like, yeah, well, you have the agnostic and all them scholars saying that Jesus existed, but you have the view of the Exodus happening being a minority. So I tried to look into that, and what I understood was that the view is different based on like what date it happens, and that's what Roll is saying, is that the date that mostly people like these other scholars are trying to point out is off to when the actual date happens to a certain time period. And he makes all these interesting and actually very legitimate points that I can agree with. So I think definitely you're going to be doing a good favor with having him on your show and having this explained to your audience, because in a world where skepticism is certainly growing, we need this kind of information laid out to people. So pretty good job. How did you get him, by the way? Isn't he like, a big historical archaeologist type of person? How'd you get him on the show?
Well, he's real down to earth. I have been dealing with his work for about probably like I want to say 3 years now, and so he got a Facebook page, and
Mhm.
once he had got a Facebook page, then I had became his friend on the Facebook page. So I had inboxed him, some years ago, and we've been talking ever since then, and he will help me do my research a lot. Tell me what articles are certain things to get for us.
Mhm.
You know, what's all coming out as far as when you start dealing with antiquities and different archaeology and stuff and monuments. So that's how I actually, got in good with him. And plus, me and another guy was arguing. This guy was a Hebrew Israelite, and David Rowe, he didn't too much was fond of us both arguing, so he kind of like got in our inboxes and was just like, you guys need to stop doing that, And so another guy who knows him just as well, who I know, so but he's met him personally. I have never met him personally before. Hopefully, I get a chance to.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, well, I do wish you luck on that show with him, because I've definitely appreciated some of the stuff that he's contributed and done. So, good luck to you on that. But since we're on here, since you're on Ask Christian Anarchist, and the tables are kind of turned with you're a guest and I'm the host now, is there a question that you would like to ask me?
Not at this point. I was just coming in. I'm driving back from from Indianapolis to St. Louis, so I was just coming in and try to see what you guys was talking about, or.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just listening in.
Yeah, well, the only thing that we just recently talked about was the anime convention thing, really. So that's about all we've done so far. I don't know. I mean, you've talked about the Calvinism thing. Are you sure you don't got any questions on that?
I think we just about we just we just about had our little sessions. Um, okay. Let me ask this question.
Uh,
So is man 6,000 years old according to the Bible? And I'm not talking about the earth, but I'm just talking about in general man.
mm-hmm.
And how do you um, when they say hominids and came in at this different period of time, and what's your view on that?
Well, my view is, of course, that I believe we definitely been around for more than 6,000 years. I don't ascribe to the young Earth position. I'm more in line with the evolutionary creationism model, which affirms, at least concerning the view that I hold to and the other adherents to it, is that while animals had certainly evolved from the process, Adam was made from the dust, as it was said, and then Eve was formed from the rib. I'm still somewhat mixed concerning the other views within this position concerning the theistic evolutionists like Biologos that affirm that man is also involved within the process of natural selection, that where we are a result of it concerning the primate ancestors. But then my view comes more from a more traditional side, in the sense that while of course John Calvin could probably be a young earther, he affirmed that at least based upon B.B. Warfield's research, who was a Calvinist as well as a big studier of church history, he basically both came to the conclusion that the creation that they affirmed was an evolutionary one concerning creatures, but just not of Adam. And the same was said of the guy who was the general editor of the book called The Fundamentals, which is where we get the name fundamentalist from to begin with. He was a fundamentalist Christian. He was affirming the essentials, and that's what his project was aimed at with his mass volume book, The Fundamentals. And he affirmed the same thing that Calvin and Warfield affirmed concerning these people. So with that in mind, I don't know how long that Adam would have come about, because in my Bibles, I don't see a date that it necessarily gives between the time periods of Genesis 1 to 11. You see in most of them, they will have the time periods that they are able to actually articulate and take down. But with Genesis 1 to 11, it is one of those mysterious points. And some people will say, well, you had others like that archbishop that managed to do all the calculations. But I'm even skeptical of him because he tried to even suggest what exact time, which I think was 9 o'clock in the morning, and what day of the week, and what numbered day it was that Adam was created. So there are things like that that I think I can understand you getting, how many years as an estimate, but trying to get like the date and all that stuff, I don't think there's anywhere in the Bible that can help you extract that sort of information. So I don't know because they said he used some sort of secondary sources to come to that conclusion. So it's concerning man, based on what I've said is the information basis. I can't really give an accurate statement on how old I think Adam was, but I know that concerning, at least from my view, concerning reading the Bible and what it says, Adam was made distinct from the creatures, and that he was made from the dust, and Eve from the rib. And I believe that's how our group came about. So of course I've got Christians and atheists alike that are probably going to come at me on this one.
Right. So you believe that there was a group before when God made man in His image and His likeness.
A group?
Yes, because you said that's the way our group came about.
Right. I mean, I'm talking about human beings in general.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So do you believe that there was a group of people before?
I don't think so. No. And when you talk, and I did remember you mentioned the hominids. Concerning them, who knows? Maybe these people that seem more human, or not more human, but seem close to human, and have the humanistic characteristic, but are still, at least concerning the biological classification scale, not considered human beings as we are in this day. That may have been the same. That may have been the how Adam and Eve could have looked back then. May have seemed hideous to us, based on how we're looking at it. But you're dealing with different cultures at this point and such. And I don't know where Adam and Eve, where they were at concerning the garden. And I personally, my view is that the garden isn't a place on earth, and then when they were banished, no wonder they're not allowed to go back in it. It's a place that's closed off to them, to the point of even sight, or even having the ability to walk into the place in general. So that's my particular view on it.
Right.
So
now, the oldest, and reason why I say, like for instance, the oldest writing that we find is dated to the fourth millennium period. Like most of all of our old writing that we find is in the fourth millennium period. And so what we find out is that that's when we see that something happened, before the fourth millennium period. But I think that reason why I take the position to where, if we use the birth dates, I mean not the birth dates, I'm sorry, the ages of that was given in the Bible, and then we see that afterwards we see that a lot of those people was contemporaries with each other, and we see that Adam lived to be 930 years old. But we also see that in Noah's time, Noah, I believe, went into the ark in 600 years.
Mhm.
At 600 years old. When the flood took place, after that, 100 years after the flood,
Mhm.
we can add up the ages till you get to Nimrod, and Nimrod is when writing would have actually took place and would have started different scripts, and that's around about the fourth millennium that they will give it. You know what I'm saying? That's what they
Mhm.
give. But I don't really deal with the BC dates too much, but I do believe that something happened around that time to where from the Tower of Babel sprung up the Sumer and also Egyptian, and then gave rise to the Assyrian or Ashur until we start looking at the other kingdoms today. So I
Mhm.
think that that has to be taken into account to where if you say that that the Earth is well, I think I got a bad signal. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
You said you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes.
Loud and clear.
All right, so yeah, because I got like one bar.
Happy you
So
mentioned Tower of Babel.
I'm
Hmm?
sorry.
I was making a joke that I was happy
Tower
you
of Babel.
mentioned. Yeah, because my picture. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Tower of Babel is your profile pic.
Now what's interesting about the Tower of Babel
Hmm.
is that the when it says and Nimrod was a mighty hunter, we can find that Nimrod was a priest of Uruk. And how do we know that? Is because Nimrod came from Iraq or Shinar, the land of Shinar. And if you look at it in the Bible, it says that Erech, which is, you know, when you really do the linguistic study on it, it's Iraq, modern day today Iraq. And then when you go a little bit farther back, it's Uruk, or dealing with the Uruk culture. And so the Uruk um, is a culture that we see that spread it in the fourth millennium. And these guys had a priesthood that was called the king priest. Basically became priest and took over the priestly roles of the priest. But what I want to say to that is this: is that Nimrod had a motif, and it was basically he was a hunter, and we see that hunter stiller or that motif all over the world in different cultures, to where, especially in Susa and Elam, and these are places that rose up in the fourth millennium and started writing, what we call proto writings, before the cuneiform came. Even in Egypt, they have a artifact by the name of the Gabel El Arak knife, and on the knife we have a guy with a heavy beard with a chinion on, and he's wrestling animals, two lions.
Hmm.
So I think that, you know, that's a marker for us after the flood. We know that when we add up the ages, the flood came 650, I think 656 years after the creation of the world. So I mean, we could take that in consideration and look at why some of the most oldest things on this earth, you know, as far as man is dealing with it, is around that range of the fourth millennium when nations and civilizations started to rise up.
Mm. All right. By the way, welcome, ad blocker.
Thank you.
Welcome. So I don't know. Did what I say, did that help answer your question a bit, G, or did you or did I need to
Yeah, I
clarify?
mean, I think it did. Yeah, I think it. You know, it was cool, but you know, I just wanted to. I mean, I respect, you know, what you deal with. You know what I'm saying? But I just think that there's evidence to lean another way. You
Hmm.
know, especially historical evidence and scientific evidence. That's great. You know, and we have scientific evidence to prove otherwise too. But
Hmm.
you know that. But yeah, I definitely appreciate your answer.
No problemo, my friend. All right, so let's see here. We'll get to ad blocker in a couple because we want to try to go into the order of the people that go on. So let's see here. I forget who came. I think it was Cameron, Tower of Babel guy. Tower of Babel. Nah, nothing. I need to give her that. Anyways, bad joke. Cameron, you there?
Yeah, it's like cutting out for me.
Let's cut my audio.
No, I think it's fine now. Like before that, it just was like really, really glitchy on my end.
All right. Well, welcome aboard. I know you said you wanted the link way ahead of time, so I assume that you did have a question in mind.
Sure, yeah. I just saw it posted like this morning or something. You were gonna host it like 7, but
Yeah.
yeah. I have a question. Who would you say which theologian would you say influenced you the most in your current thinking?
Um, hmm. Good question. Um, as far as a theologian wise, um, I would probably have to say John Gill, just because not only do I like the commentaries that he writes, but his book of Cause of God and Truth is a stellar masterpiece, especially if one is wanting to look for Calvinism in early church history. He has a whole bunch of sections devoted to quoting church fathers on certain topics such as original sin, total depravity, the perseverance of the saints, and all these other different issues. That he has this whole list going from Clement of Rome all the way to people past Augustine concerning what church father affirmed what and what they said. The only problem is that he doesn't give the sources. Like, he doesn't say, according to his book in this, and I guess that's just how, the quoting of other works worked back then in Gill's time. But there is a website that I managed to find. I'm gonna have to see if I can find it on my own later. But there's a place that actually shows and does the citations for you, so that you don't have to worry too much about where these quotes came from. But yeah, that's about much what I would say so far.
Yeah, that's a good answer. Yeah, I would like to see that site as well.
Yes, I'll make sure to give you the if I can, if I have it, if it can be remembered, I'll send you a link to the PDF to his book, because it's a classic. All right, well, thank you for your question. We're going to then move on to the Christian man. Christian man.
Hello.
How you doing, man?
I do have a question. What's your
Don't ask
Which,
don't ask why my avatar looks feminine, because I don't know why. It's a preference thing. Apparently,
No.
according to one person, I look like a lesbian biker. At least with my leather jacket. I don't know what they're saying now.
Okay.
I agree.
Oh, for goodness sake! Leave it to the other otaku in the building to make the comment about my anime avatar.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are some good, interesting material for logical fallacies for Christians? I'm just asking.
Logical fallacies?
Not this doesn't logical fallacy, but just logic in general in philosophy.
Okay. As far as I understand in that regard, I'm not too much of the philosopher type. There was a guy on here that I would personally recommend, even though he was Catholic. And he would be that was Maximus Confessus. Unfortunately, however, Max has taken a break from YouTube to pursue furthering his studies in theology. Last I checked, he had gotten a master's in theology, but he's then going to continue onward. And I was really hoping to engage in a debate with him against Protestantism versus Catholicism, because he was a guy I respected. But we were both, I guess, technically Augustinians as well. So we affirmed almost theologically same thing concerning original sin and all these other aspects. But of course, But anyways, point is that he got into all these different sources about these arguments for God and all these different types of things. So he'd break it down easily as someone who not just studied theology, but also philosophy. So he was basically the philosophical buff. But if there is anything that I do, if the people are looking for like logical things, there's 20 arguments for God's existence. But as far as logical fallacies are concerned, I would just suggest for the Christian to look up, like, I don't know, maybe a dictionary or something online that contains the databases of these different fallacies. Because if we just study the basics and then just, with time as the experience goes on, and then we start, if something pops up, we do the research on our own on this particular fallacy that's pointed out, then we start to understand things. But as far as in general, I mean, I don't know. The only thing I can say is, what is the thing called? Reasonable Faith or something like that, that William Lane Craig book, because I think if I understand him correctly, he is one of those that tries to explain all these different types of things, since he tries to argue more on the side of philosophy. And I don't know, maybe, who knows, maybe Cameron over here, who actually is a Craig type of fan, can point you out to something, because I know he's actually seen a lecture of William Lane Craig's once, from what I understand.
Yeah, I'm not as I used to be more influenced by Craig. I've kind of the past year or so I've kind of just been really just severing my ties with that in some regard. I still respect the man in a lot of ways. He's certainly someone who's helped me a lot on my journey as far as faith goes. But yeah, as far as logical fallacies, I would recommend a book to you, and it's a book that you can get for free because it's been in the public domain for 100 years. But it would be G.H. Joyce's Principles of Logic. I found this book extremely helpful. It's mostly goes into Aristotelian logic, but that's mostly what you'll be dealing with. It's really good on terminology. It gives good examples. And, if you can load PDFs effectively, I would recommend that extremely. As far as logical arguments go, I would recommend one. I would recommend looking at old manuals on archives, like the Thomistic or Scholastic manuals. I would recommend Reasonable Faith. Well, I think it's helped. I would recommend Edward Fazer's blog. He was probably one of the individuals who sort of made me hop off the Craig bandwagon. That and my friend Dennis, who is
better now than later, right?
Yeah. Who is a big person, and he encouraged me to pursue a degree in that, which I'm going to do. That's what I would recommend. I found those extremely helpful, and I think they'll enrich your reading experience.
Thank you. Can you put some of the things in the the Hangout chat?
In the chat?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I can do that.
You can take care of that. We're going to try to get to the other callers, because so far now we're actually building up a house here. So, by the way, we got, of course, some do the introductions, but of course, just to remind you, if you're still watching and you still want some questions answered and you can't join us, well, that's what we got the live chat for. Make sure to feel free to do that as a part of it. And one guy we have in here, John Wilkinson, has been made a moderator for the live chat. So if he feels the need to ban a user for temporarily or to check on things, I've given him permission to do that. And dang it, I was just about to introduce the other guy, but he has clocked out. Dang it, Wolf. That's what happens when you hail Satan. You miss out on all the good things that happens. All right, anyways, so he just won't get the introduction. So then we're going to go ahead and introduce someone who G Conscious brought in, Kevin G, which I don't know what the heck that picture is supposed to be. So, and I don't know why, but apparently that just rhymed unintentionally. So, Kevin, welcome to the room.
Hey, thank you for having me.
No problem, man. And then we got, of course, I already said it, John Wilkinson. Get it. But let's get to the meat of the problem. And that is a guy who blocks people. And I'm talking about the one who does it with super strength. And it's only blocking ads. It is the super ad blocker, ladies and gentlemen. What is up, super ad blocker?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I got two questions for you, man.
Oh, yeah. Let me do it in my macho man voice. Oh, yeah. Come on. Bring it on.
It's not bad. Could be worse.
Yeah.
All right, well, the first one, you a little bit nervous, a little red behind the ears. Get that way.
What?
I mean, are you a little nervous.
Am I a little nervous?
Yeah, doing
Oh.
these sorts of things.
Not really. I mean, I've done Hangouts in general for quite a while. I've done 12 formally moderated debates, and this is the 19th version of this that I've done. So I don't think I'd see any reason to be nervous.
Mm-hmm. You also talk in front of people, yeah. I've seen some of the things on your YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have real trouble talking in front of people. I get a little nervous. A little red behind the ears, right across the cheeks. It's not something I can do very easily.
Yeah.
How do you get over that?
Well, the one thing that I've learned is, believe it or not, I was actually very hesitant about public speaking.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I've learned would be that if you're going to engage in talking in front of people, you have to realize that they are you. You're basically a human being, so you should be able to relate to them. So humor always helps out. Get the crowd laughing a bit, or say, always open with like jokes or something, or try to relate on a certain level. And by the way, there's the demon that comes back. It is a wolf king. We'll get to him in a few. Gonna have to splash him with holy water, just because he left. But yeah, I mean, public speaking was one of my fears, but I took some speech classes when I was young to help me warm up a bit, and that, I guess, got me to wanting to be in the spotlight. I was like acting very dramatic when it came time for us reading those little script play things in English class. And then I got into drama, so acting, I guess, kind of helps out a bit. Yeah. And then, of course, speech courses in college also help out. They help you with techniques and such. So that, and just looking up anything online for like helping with speaking and public speaking always helps you out.
Well, it helps to know what you're talking about too.
Exactly. So the main tip I would suggest is just to take a deep breath and then just roll with it. You know what I'm saying? It's because when I'm trying to do like acting and all that kind of stuff, there are things I'm familiar with, but I would never be able to do it if I didn't do what happened the first time I ever actually did something. And that would be to take the deep breath, exhale, and go. You just have to go out and do it, or else it's gonna keep holding you back. When you do it your first time, then it just gets easier down the road. You don't even have to even go back to worrying about the exercise ananymore.
If you don't mind, I'd like to comment on that. When I took public speaking in college, the professor that helped me out actually made it really good advice. Was it makes it easier when you speak about something you're passionate about. If you're passionate about a certain topic and it's something that you just have just an eagerness to share it with others, then it makes it a lot easier to get that message out and talk to them. So that also helps too. And also I got a story too. So when I used to live in Charlotte, there's a guy that used to embarrass himself on Tryon Street in the middle of downtown. And he'll just yell out and blurt out anything, random things. And he sounds like an utter fool. Like he tries to sing, he has a bad singing voice. He just yells out stuff. And I see this guy maybe like every day for about a year. And I finally approached him and I asked him, I said, why are you out here just saying random things? And, you look well dressed. You don't look like you're homeless. Anything like that, And I'm seeing you out here like almost 6 hours a day just doing this. And I'm like, what is it for? And he says, well, I'm a stage actor. And he says, the best thing to get rid of butterflies.
Hello?
Yeah, you cut out there, man.
Just as I was getting to the good part.
No, to the utmost and a different audience in front.
Hey, Kevin, can you hear us?
Oh, you're cutting in and out.
Okay.
Kevin, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. You said the best way to get the butterflies out is.
Oh, the guy. Oh, how much did you hear?
Well, we just heard you to the point. You said the guy was saying the best way to get rid of the butterflies is, and then that's when you cut out.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, yeah. So the reason why he was singing out in the street and embarrassing himself, he says the best way to get rid of butterflies is when he's on stage is to make a complete fool of himself out on the street. He goes out there. He just yells out random things. He says, I'm a butterfly. I'm a flying man. He just says random. And like, if people were looking at him, they give him money. He has a little hat where people drop money in. He actually gets money for it, but he makes an utter fool of himself. And so I asked him, I said, why are you doing this? And he says, well, I'm doing this so that when I embarrass myself out here and I go on stage, I know that I'm out doing what I did here. And it kind of, anytime you're doing better than what you used to do, or like, say for instance, you did absolutely worse at one job, you got fired, and then you get another job and you're doing absolutely fantastic. It's kind of like, you kind of have this confidence like you're growing. So he says it kind of tricks himself to believe that he's actually growing out of the embarrassment, because he embarrassed himself already for 6 hours on the street. And when he gets on stage to do his role, everything's good.
It's very unorthodox, but at the same time, I can actually understand that as someone who took theater. Wow, that's actually something. I have never thought about that before.
Thought about what?
Well, it was something at the. There, I see what you did there. But yeah,
I had a follow-up question if you're into it.
Are you talking for Kevin or
no, for you?
Oh, sure, go ahead.
All right, this is a little bit more on topic. I didn't expect it to get that sort of derailed, but
that's cool.
Yeah. Do you believe that the universe or the Earth is perfect or specifically made for humans? And if so, how do you explain the apparent randomness that we see?
Well, good question. I believe, yes, that life was created for not just humans, but the whole of creation in general. And I don't think that, as a person who's not just I'm not one of those like simple free will type of theists. I am a compatibilist, so somewhat of a soft determinist. And I believe that I'm one of those that's like, I don't believe in luck, or I don't believe in randomness. I think that things happen for a reason and for a purpose, regardless. And so when there are random things that happen from, this person got a raise or this person got fired, I think there are ultimately certain things that happen. And I've experienced, the good and the bad of those. On one hand, I managed to get a better paying position at my job, where I'm working more hours, and I have to resort to, trying to seem more professional, since I'm working in the more professional part of it. But then on the other hand, I then smashed my thumb and been in concerning physical pain more than I've ever had it at. Thumb's just bad, worried about my fingernail, all these different thoughts are coming through my head, and I'm just like freaking out, especially when time came to pulling the thumbnail out. I was like freaking out. So in that regard, I was like, being really depressed. It caused me to like not even want to be on the computer as much, or be on YouTube interacting with every one of y'all. Mm-hmm. So
because of your thumb?
Yeah, I don't know what it was. I was like, just it felt like whenever it's cloudy or something like that.
You really are a little bit feminine, aren't you?
Oh, shut up. It hurt at first.
So, like, I don't know, man. Suck it up, I guess. Question mark.
Yeah,
so
I mean, I sucked up the pain. I'm like, I was able to like type and write and drive around and such. Yeah. I mean, that wasn't the problem. It's just I don't know why.
Okay, like the human suffering sort of concept.
Right. It's just that I don't know why, but it made me feel somewhat depressed, and I just didn't want to do certain things for some reason. There was even a couple days where I just didn't want to eat. I felt like I was already full. and there was no reason for me to eat.
Mhm.
But I had to. I mean, I've already practically almost skipped lunch, so I need to start eating, or else I'm probably going to start hearing that grumbling soon, and then who's going to be sorry? But yeah, it ultimately led me to reading more. So I started actually reading the books I had on my shelf a bit, because at some point throughout a time lapse, I stopped reading them. So it got me back into reading as a habit. I started then reading more into the Bible, which I had also stopped reading at some point in a pattern. So right now I'm in Psalms. And then I started to turn on I had a TV that I had gotten, and I hadn't really used it within a month that I had gotten it. And it was a Roku TV, so I had all them different shows and I could use, including Netflix, but I didn't use it. But until this point, it got me to use it, and now I actually like the shows coming on there. Done some favorites, definitely a couple animes. So
Yeah.
and
What kind of anime?
Yeah, so
I don't watch much TV other than sort of anime, but if I could just reel you in a little bit here, you do believe that the universe, or at least the Earth, is perfect. I think you said, yeah.
well, I mean, it depends on what you define as perfect. I mean, as far as the world itself, I think there's some flaws. There's definitely like things that are trying to tempt us, and that's why we shouldn't necessarily fall in love or put things on a pedestal of the things that are in the world. That's why I say cling more to the spiritual things. But I still, as far as the material things, I can have some liking of it, but I don't put it on a pedestal or indulge myself into it as if I'm an addict of it.
Mm-hmm.
So
if you I'll just sort of try to finish up with this one, but if you do think that the universe is perfect, or you think that the bad things are caused by like sort of demons or Satan, or
well, I wouldn't necessarily say that in general too. I mean, I think that if Satan does get involved, I mean, even then he wouldn't have any permission to do something unless God commands it. I mean, like Christians can't be possessed or anything like that. They can only be tempted, for example. And then I think that God is in control of most things. I mean, I see this in the Psalms and the Proverbs and all these other things. So I mean, I think ultimately some things are definitely caused by God.
Right. Like just how difficult it is for like a human to survive on this planet, for example, or possibly even like outer space. It's kind of difficult to survive out there. It doesn't really seem all that perfect sometimes.
Right. Well, that's the thing. Like, I don't understand what you mean by perfect. Because as I said earlier, I don't necessarily, based on what I understand of the term concerning the theological question, I don't think the world is perfect.
Or
I think
maybe standard and perfect.
Or maybe made with human life in mind.
Like you mean perfect
right,
you mean perfect for human life to exist?
Yeah.
All right, so perfect for human life, but
we exist, so therefore it must be perfect.
Well, there's a lot of suffering, and it's actually kind of hard.
I don't think
it's kind of hard.
Now we're getting into the problem of evil.
All right, so let me try to see if I can understand you.
Yeah.
So you're saying like only in regards to humans, not like the animals or the trees or anything, just in regard to humans.
Right.
Okay. So again, I'd say it's perfect in the sense that we exist on it, that it is made for us. I mean, at least coming from the Christian perspective, is that's what the Bible says on the matter. But as far as the condition of the world itself, no, it's not perfect because of the fallen nature of Adam. It's gone to a point where the earth is definitely in a sense of corruption because of Adam's sin, and that's why when the time comes, the Bible says there's going to be a new heaven and a new earth, where there will be tears are going to be wiped away, because there's going to be the final enemy that's going to be getting rid of is death and suffering. So that is why I had a little problem there with the standards, because I'd say perfect, yes, in the sense that we are on it and it's made for us to dwell on, but also in the sense it's not perfect because of the one doctrine in Christian theology, which is original sin, that has an effect upon the world because of not just, what the world does on its own, but how we end up affecting it as well. We have killed people, we have caused suffering, as well as, of course, you have the natural disasters. So it's not just simply natural, but also us and some people's natures. Mm-hmm. So
if I can, the way I see it, I think Adam was better off.
Could I follow up with that again?
Go ahead, sure.
All right. Well, you think you said that the world was made specifically for us, humans?
Well, not just specifically for us, as I said very earlier, that all of creation was in mind, but humans are definitely involved within that plan.
Right. Like, I mean, doesn't the Bible say something about us sort of being in charge of like the animals and the animal kingdom, and we're sort of like the head honcho, right?
Well, not necessarily a head honcho, but more like a caretaker. That's kind of the thing, is that all these things Adam is seen having to name them. So it's kind of in the sense like having a pet. You have a pet. It's not simply that you're the head honcho of it. Yeah, sure, you may have more authority over the creature than the creature itself that you happen to have as a pet, depending on what you have, a dog, cat, or as I probably plan on getting in the future, a baby skunk. Don't ask why. But, you have a responsibility as well, in a sense you have to take care of it. You have to feed it. You have to nurture it. That's kind of the same thing that Adam had to take care of the garden, had to take care of the inhabitants thereof. So it's not just simply that Adam as man, showing that man is the more superior person that is out of all the creatures, but rather that because of that thing, he's also tasked by God to be the caretaker of it. And so that's what, you had that time with Adam before Eve went and gone, being tempted by the serpent in the garden. That was what they were doing before then, is that they were doing what God told them to do, is to take care of the garden and its inhabitants. So that would be what I would say, is that they aren't simply head honchos, but they're the caretakers. They are masters over them that have a duty. They have a responsibility to uphold.
Mm-hmm. All right, sounds good to me, man.
Huh? What was that, Wolf?
Like I said, like glorified little help.
Now you're starting to break up a little bit. Right?
Well, he said, ha.
Oh no, he's casting another satanic chant.
You speaking in tongues.
Yeah, I can hear you now, Wolf.
I said like glorified little helpers, like elves and stuff.
Not quite.
So, ad blocker, what's with your profile pic with you versus Steve McRae?
Well, it's not me versus Steve McRae. This is the Rumpus. Oh yeah, it is.
Rumpus.
I guess that is sort of like ad blocker Chan down in the bottom left.
What the heck? I don't get what's up with you and as ad blocker. How the heck did that story show up? Because I saw your origin thing, and was just like.
No, like I was watching. God, what's the name of that anime? It's like
Bari.
No, so it's something else. And I was watching that. I was like, this would make a perfect like sort of
intro,
right? And it just occurred to me. And when things occur to me, I just sort of run with it.
Well, it was interesting having to see an anime character wear Macho Man Randy Savage glasses.
Right. Well, it's my gimmick.
I've noticed.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Now everybody's doing that now. It's great.
Oh yeah. The reason why they're doing it is because I made a video calling out G-Man, and we're gonna debate at some point. Oh yeah.
You get in the ring, G-Man. Yeah.
Yeah. You're supposed to.
I'll moderate it.
Oh yeah. Just make sure you be careful, because I might put him in a nice little hole. Oh yeah. Make sure he eats a Slim Jim.
Snap into a G-Man.
No, just no.
What?
Just Snap into a.
Step into a G-man,
Let's just hope he's not
Just
watching.
run with it. Things are getting real colorful.
no.
Cup of coffee in the big time.
Macho Man.
Coffee.
Cup of coffee in the big time.
But speaking of G-Man, hey Veckel, how are you doing?
Well, where's my lighter at?
And it's out of nowhere. Where's my lighter?
Sorry.
Dude, you're supposed to be you're playing the role of like Satan here. He's like, "Where's my lighter?" Just like boom.
Yeah, well, that involves fire, doesn't it? Shit.
Yeah, but you're a Satanist, aren't you? Hasn't Satan given you the power to cast fire at your hands already?
Fireball.
I mean, what? Like, are you gonna ask me a question? Like, what the hell? Come on.
I'm just saying.
It works the other way around, man. You're supposed to ask him a question, man.
I don't want to treat this like Elijah versus the prophets of Baal here. Otherwise, I could then go at it right there.
Let me just say,
with like amateur night, dude.
Yeah.
Hey Wolf, are you really a Satanist?
Yep.
Yeah, but Satanists don't worship Satan though.
I don't worship Satan.
Right.
I go with the values that Satan hold in the romantic tradition.
Right. So the idea of a Satanist, because my brother was a former one, so he got delivered from that. But the idea is basically just the pride of life and doing what thou wilt and what pleases you, basically. Right?
Yeah, honestly, basically for me, I view Satan as the ultimate icon for free thought and reason, and I espouse those values through implementing Satan through my message. So yeah, that's what I actually use it as, and I think that's what we're seeing across the United States with the after school Satan clubs, with the rise of the Baphomet statues. I think we're seeing a rising of the fallen.
Yeah, don't worry about those Baphomet statues. I'm already planning on bombing those.
Yeah, I noticed that like George Washington's statue is actually in the form of Baphomet, saying as below, so above, and that whole theme in that. But my question to you is this: about free thought and the whole thing about Satanists. Just a quick question: what do you think lives longer, an animal in captivity or one in the wild?
I mean, honestly, I'm not exactly sure, but I mean, see, for me, it's not necessarily a quantity of life more than a quality of life.
Is the animal owned by Michael Vick?
Yeah, I mean, basically, to sum it up, I'd rather reign as a king in hell than serve a slave in heaven. That's the way I see it.
Oh, don't worry. Me, John, and Veckel are going to convert just soon, followed by the help of Christian Man over there.
Yeah. So I noticed the theme of this whole thing about Satanism is that it's an idea of recognizing self, and when one recognizes self, he kind of promotes himself into a king of the hill type of mentality.
Hey, Kevin, is it possible to hold that for a second? I need to want to try to answer this one person's question in the chat, and then I got to take my medicine real quick. So then I'll let y'all talk real quick before I come back.
Cool.
So I want to answer this one person real quickly. So we have Bible Truth in the live chat, and this is interesting. Okay, so Bible Truth asks, "Hey CA, kind of curious, but did you catch G-Man's debate with atheism is unstoppable? If so, what did you think?" The short answer: no. Reason why is because I'm not too particularly a fan of the issues that they debated on. I think based on what I understood, because I saw like a little tiny clip, and I remember the Psycho was there. I think the issue was about the whole social issue on race. I don't know too much about what happened with him. Atheism is unstoppable, as far as I understand, is one of the atheists that doesn't really deal much on the religious topics anymore, but rather deals with the social justice issues. And there are definitely things I disagree with, like his views on African Americans and such. But the only thing that recently we've come to agree on is the fact that we disagree with Alex Bond's view that, if you're a Nazi, then you had the legal right to be punched, which we think that's a stupid idea.
Yeah, he was being
So-
a dick with that.
Yeah, so
Yeah, he definitely want to get got with a mentality like that. But go ahead.
yeah, so that's the one thing. Unfortunately, and who knows, this might be the day where hell freezes over if whenever me and atheism is unstoppable actually have agreed on something. Because he's one of those atheists that I never like him, Cult of Dusty. I forget who the other guy was. There are people that are atheists that I definitely don't want to agree with or like. They are very anti-theist and say stupid things that are based on personal emotions without any look at the scholarly material about what the Bible says, or looking at it and treating it as it should be. They have their own take on it. There's one person I remember talking to who was just like that, named Alexia. Was a transgendered person and ended up bringing in some objections. Tried to say that Alexia thought that was going to convert to Christianity, but had some quote unquote issues, and I think this was just trolling because that's the one thing that Alexia was known for, was trolling. Goes on to kids communities and posts adult material on there and trolls for that. So I remember one thing was saying that at the Council of Nicaea, they dismissed the canon idea of the second creation account, which is involving someone named Lilith. It's funny enough that I have to dismiss it because it's canonicity was never discovered talked about at Nicaea.
It's 95 years later.
Right. So, but even then, that is never actually a canon story. It was a midrash, more like a commentary of what some people were trying to, put together. So it wasn't even in the Bible. It was just a commentary from Jewish tradition. So I, of course, asked, where's your source? And just goes on to say, yeah, well, because God is sexist and a bigot. I'm like, here we go. This is why you bring it up. It's not because you have sources. So, yeah, there are people like that I just don't really care to, listen to. So when I saw Atheism as Unstoppables in this debate, I'm like, well, I know what I'm not watching. So, because to me, it would have been a waste. Whatever the regard was, I would have handed it to G-Man regardless, because Atheism is Unstoppable is just a guy I can't respect. He just doesn't have any credibility in my eyes.
He's a bit of a dick, isn't he?
Well, I don't like that word, but I don't like to use the word. But yes, I will agree with you.
I keep forgetting you're a Christian or Baptist.
Really, I got the name on me, and you still don't see it.
Right. Yeah, I'll say it for you. He's a bit of a dick.
Yeah, might want to get those Randy Savage glasses checked.
Right.
Maybe blocking your vision. But yeah, that's all I have to say on that question. If anyone's got any more that they want to bring up, feel free to mention it in the chat.
I wanted to say thanks for answering my question, so I could get out of here.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Feel free to come back. Anyways, I'm gonna go take my medicine. Y'all can chat until then. And I think since John is in here, since he's already moderator of the live chat in the YouTube thing, I'm gonna make him moderator on here. So I will be back. Please play nice, kiddies.
Okay.
I have the power.
You have the power to destroy any of us in here, except for Christian Anarchist.
Yeah, he can destroy me. So.
All right, turns out I'm back looking now. All right, what's going on?
John's the moderator.
Yep. I'm special.
So, Kevin, you were trying to ask me something a little earlier.
Yeah, I was trying to get a grasp on if you actually believed in that.
You were saying something about a man knowing himself.
Yeah, so basically the whole idea of a Satanist is recognizing self. Just as you explained, you said you'd rather be the king of your own hill than to be reigning peacefully in God's kingdom. And that's something that I recognize in the mentality of a Satanist. It's just that I wanted to follow through to see if you're actually of that mentality. Because people, when they hear Satanist, they think that you're sitting there drawing incantations and doing magic and cutting the peacock in two and all that. Yeah. So, but it's not really that. In my ignorance, I was taught a long time ago what it actually was, and it was basically the pride of life, to do what thou wilt, to see justice as you see fit, to live your life as you see fit, to carry out your own basically subjective moral standard, rather than believe that there is a objective moral standard. In that sense. So I was just following through to see what that was about. But I wanted to follow up with this though. Have you looked in depth on the steps and how Satan or Hashatan actually got to that step? Like, why is it that you idolize him and what he does, and why is it that you see a benefit in this stance?
Well, I think at least the way Lucifer is depicted in the Bible, I view that as heroic. Ultimately, he followed his own will and didn't wasn't so much seduced by he just refused to kneel. He refused to give up his own will, and I think that I feel like that as a human, for me, it resonates with the oppressed. It resonates with a person that seeks to actually give shape and meaning to their own lives, not through the external, not through something external like an authority or a revelation or tradition. I see that in the garden story, when the serpent bestows knowledge onto Adam and Eve, and as a result they lose their faith, they become enlightened, they come to the knowledge of themselves. I think that with science and reason as good tools, we actually understand who we are as human beings, and honestly, what we can do to understand our connection with the rest of the world. I think. Hold on, just let me finish. I think the story of Satan is a good message for that. I think it's a good way to express that the message from my view, and that's why I'm happy to actually utilize this imagery to get my point across for what I think should go on in society. It's called for more of a secular government and a more open public spirited ideas, and I think that's something beneficial that we all need right now.
Hello.
Okay, so the thing about it is that I find it interesting that the narrative that you follow in the Bible, which it seems to me at this point that you look at it as being fictional, more of an illustration of how man should react, but yet you don't take into account within that same illustration, from your point of view, of any of the detrimental effects, any of the consequences of such thinking. Like for instance, when you look at the mentality that you have, Cat Williams, who's a stand-up comedian, said a funny joke. He says when you give a alcoholic $20, he's gonna drink to the limit of $20. But when you give an alcoholic $1 million, where does it stop? So with that mentality, what is the facilitating mechanism that's used to help man, with the mentality that you said that you're adopting, to help facilitate?
I'm just gonna mute him.
Who?
What was that?
I was just muting Christian because there was a lot of noise in his background. And I can't.
Yeah, he did say he was
Sorry.
having company over. Yeah, Christian, just make sure you mute if whenever you're not talking, because like me and you have discussed before, whenever we both have company over, sometimes the sound can over echo us. But I do want to try to get back on.
Sorry.
Yeah, so
no, it's cool. It's cool. But I do want to try to get back onto the show to see if we can get as much questions done as possible before I head out for the night.
Sure. Oh, okay, so Kevin, just in a nutshell, so what's your question?
What's that now?
Yeah, so what's your question, Kevin, just in a nutshell?
Oh, basically, in a nutshell, I'm asking, what is the facilitate mechanism? Did you hear my example about the alcoholic?
Could you give it one more time?
Okay, so stand-up comedian says a joke. He says if you give an alcoholic $20, he's going to drink to the excess of that $20. But if you give him $1 million, he's going to drink to the excess of that million. So basically, he's unlimited. He could do more damage to himself. But when we look throughout history and we see men in power who have such a mentality as you're adopting, how does one facilitate himself to a moral standard if he in fact looks at himself, does without will, to the excess of what he has the power to do?
Well, okay. Well, I'll deal with it in the reverse order, and I'll build up to the conclusion. You mentioned me thinking the Bible is fictional. Well, that is the case. I think, it's for the large point a cultural myth book. I do believe that there are a lot of metaphors that teach lessons as well, and from my perspective, I do view the fallen angel, the adversary, as a good message that's consistent with the views that I hold. As I look through the course of human history, through our progression and evolution, we're capable of doing great things. We've made many scientific and technological achievements, from the atomic to the biological to the cosmological. I recognize that. We've also alleviated medicine. We alleviated diseases with medicine. Created ample food with agriculture. Pierced the heavens through space travel and all this. We're also capable of horrible things like war, like systematic genocide, atomic bombs. These horrific things. I think that honestly, it's better to base ourselves on the morality that we should have on our commonality, measured through reason and experience. I think that's the way that humans can actually live better and more fulfilling lives. So that's the thing I actually encompass it within my tenets. That's how I actually judge how human behavior and interaction should go. That's the best view I think I could hold as a Satanist.
Okay, so Christian Anarchist, I didn't know if you want to continue with something else. I didn't want to interrupt.
Yeah. I just want to try to get on to back to the show. Ask Christian Anarchist to see
Yeah.
if we can get more people.
I'm sorry to steal the show, buddy.
Oh, hey, you have a habit of doing that as a Satanist. That's why I think you might be one in the beginning. Is you just want some attention.
I mean, when I get my stuff back on, you can steal my thunder.
There you go.
But technically, you were on break for the most part.
Good point. I was. So, do you have a question?
Do I have a question? Let's see. What do you think of Trump and his and the appeal he's got from the Christian right? Because they've really nestled close to him. Not just recently with him, acquiring the presidency, but even now they talk about how he's just gotten the evil out of the way, how he's just leading the good fight for Jesus. Like what do you think of that? Because I remember you saying that despite I think he's a bit of an apathy. It's just by his mannerisms, because he doesn't really seem that problematic on that much of an issue on gay marriage. He kind of flip-flops on the abortion deal. So what do you? I think he's more of an apatheist. I just don't think he really cares about religion. But what do you think of him in just as a Christian, as a religious person?
I'm for him as a religious person. Concerning well, not necessarily as a religious person, but concerning as a Republican. As a religious person, I have my doubts of him. Doesn't make Hillary better, though. I mean, out of the choices, I would have still voted for Trump over Hillary. But the reason why I say be careful is because concerning him, he has made some rather interesting statements. There was actually a time he said that his if he believed that if he got accepted into presidency, that was the only way he would be saved. That he would be saved if he became president. I'm like, where do you get this idea? I mean, seriously. But
well, I mean, he is. Well, I mean, he has Paula White as as his teacher, so.
Who?
Paula White.
Oh dear God! Yeah, that's the other thing. Is there was actually a point where he did actually go against an actual conservative Christian, Russell Moore, Dr. Russell Moore, who is a Southern Baptist like myself, and he is president of the Southern Baptist Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission. He was invited. You know, you had the theologians getting invited on the air to ask for their take on Donald Trump. He kind of, saying, I suggest voting for him, but he also suggests that he's got some questionable characteristics, and he's praised that he works on. But Trump replies in a tweet that was posted in May, quote, and I have to do the Trump impression. Russell Moore is truly a terrible representative of evangelicals and all of the good they stand for. A nasty guy with no heart. It's fake Christian, fake news. So he and Russell Moore actually responded with 1 Kings 18, 17 through 19. That was his response to Trump. But there was another thing that I remember was that he really went hard on him. It's like, well, it doesn't, I guess when you have a guy that's saying this kind of stuff and the Christians that do support you are well-known heretics condemned by a majority of the Bible-believing Christians, well, yeah, and yes, I guess you, who am I to say then that, oh, what a nasty and bad representative of Christianity is, who am I? So this is a guy who stood for conservatism at heart and actually has supported Trump. But concerning the religious life, Trump has said that he feels there is no need for repentance. He feels like he doesn't need to ask God for forgiveness, and he feels like he can be saved just by winning the presidency alone.
Making it work salvation.
There's that too. So there is a lot of problems with Trump on a theological level, and Christians, I don't think, know that, and they need to recognize that. But at the same time, there are some like me who are actually well informed, and others who are theologians that have supported for him. And it's not because well, he's a Christian; it's because we would choose the lesser of the two evils. So that's like how we see it in the matter, because we recognize both are theologically abrupt on things, and we just pray that God guides the leader. Rather, because if Hillary would have won, I wouldn't have gone on rioting or anything. I would have been praying that God works with her and that something happens with her.
Sure. See the reason I think that that people back Trump, at least like the Christian right, the religious right. Mm-hmm. The reason I think they side with him is because he pandered to them on political matters, like seeing religion influence politics more. Mike Pence, his vice president, sort of sold that some players in his cabinet, are hard theocrats.
They're not.
Well, I mean, in the sense of actually trying to influence society with that. That's what I mean. I'm not trying to make a true Christian deal of it. I mean, my point is that he panders to the religious right, and that's why he, for the most part, has gotten their support. That's why you see people like Jim Baker, talk about how he's got rid of demons and witchcraft and all that stuff. Well, at least the people that he brings on, and to a less degree him, because he has said that stuff. Mm-hmm. And Alex Jones, who glorifies him as well. There have been some people that have went against him. Glenn Beck. He was in love with Ted Cruz. He called him Moses. That is, and let me tell you something. That is some complete BS. That's ridiculous. He's like Moses if he never left his princehood in the story.
Well, that's the thing. Originally, before Trump, I was like pro Ted Cruz, because at least Cruz had political experience compared to Trump. That's what mostly worried me with Trump. But then, of course, with Glenn Beck, even he's condemned as a heretic by a majority of the actual conservative Christians because he's a Mormon.
Yeah.
So,
So
if that's Moses, then hey, then I guess that's Moses reincarnated. Hey, there's your God right there. Anyways,
yeah. The funny thing is, I've actually seen clips of that. He really does build up the whole like Judaism, defend Israel thing. Like he stays in that lane because it's technically in the Bible, and he doesn't bring up any of that stuff about Mormonism. He doesn't.
No, he doesn't. I mean, there's a reason why. He's a political talker, and he knows that if he gets too into his theology, then people are going to start having questions. So that's why a lot of people don't know about it, because he keeps it on the down low. But if people knew about his actual Mormon faith, as if they start talking about it in public, then you're going to start losing support from the Protestant side that agrees with you on this particular matter, that are ultra conservative. Mormons disagree on a lot of very biblical conservative things. So as soon as he mentions that, boom, he loses it. He loses his support.
From the magic underwear to the polygamy thing, it doesn't look good. But even that,
there's more than just the polygamy. I don't mean to interrupt you. Sorry for interrupting you.
No. Go ahead. Like what else? But and also conspiracy. Go ahead.
Yeah.
For example, in Mormonism, they actually believe that you can become a god.
Yeah, that's the whole thing with the Mormon underwear is if you reach a certain status or something, then you go to the temple. That's when they give you the magic underwear. And then you go through this ritual, and then you then achieve this point where you then can become, when you die, a god, and you're able to create your own universe and your own creation. And that's basically what the God who created us is that he was originally a human before, and then he got to become God, and then he got his chance to create his own universe, which happens to be us.
Yeah, and let me ask you another question. Is baptizing the dead a Christian thing? Because they do that in Mormonism.
No.
Okay.
No.
I was pretty sure of that. I'd never heard that when I was growing up. And
yeah, it's a Mormon thing, and the reason why we baptize, at least as a Baptist, is to have the open confession of faith, the open proclamation that you are going to be born again and renewed. So, and one can't do that if they're dead. One can't say or openly take in the baptism and then, accept and go about in their new walk. One can't say, I accept Christ right before they're getting dunked if they're dead. So that is the thing to consider. So I would definitely, if you're wanting to, I don't know, I just suggest looking more into the baptism theology on that if you're curious, any more curious on that. But yeah, short answer, no, that we don't. Baptizing dead people is nowhere in the Bible.
Yeah.
Who knows? They might start baptizing trees soon. Oh well. Any other questions from you, Wolfie?
No, I think I'm pretty good.
All right then. So we're gonna try to probably wrap up soon. So if anyone wants to join, again, you can ask me in the for the link if you want to join us in the chat. And I will just message me on Google Hangouts, or for some people, you know who you are. You can message me on Twitter. Yes, if you can't do any of those, then feel free to leave your message in the live chat. But before we get to that, let's see if we can squeeze one more thing from Christian Man. Christian, you there?
Hola.
Hola. How you doing, senor?
I am doing fine.
Okay, let's
Dang
stop.
it, I was trying to do a Hispanic accent, but I failed so bad.
Yeah, it was more like a rowdy type of Hispanic accent. But anyways, do you got a question?
Let's see. They asked you a lot of good questions, but What do you think? What do you think is one of the worst atheist arguments
What is one of the worst atheist arguments?
against God?
Okay, one of the worst atheist arguments against God. Pretty
Can
much.
I help you out? Let me just help you out. There was this guy. On here. Well, used to be on here like a year or so ago, right?
Mhm.
His name was Forbidden Fruit. Like,
Oh my! I remember hearing about that guy.
Yeah, one major thing that a lot of people got on him on both, mainly was coming from the atheist community. In my experience, was that religion was a mental illness, and I mean, honestly, that it's not even an argument because it's just inherently an ad hom. You're just saying that religious people are batshit crazy. You're not giving any real reason to show how there's irrational thinking involved.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
You can't just call someone's position irrational. I mean, that's just an ad hom. You're just being a dick at that point.
Yeah.
You actually got to show how they're wrong, not just assert that.
Mm-hmm. Then, so I don't know if that would be a good one of those things that's considered an argument against God, because that would probably take the cake right there. But I think that would be more like an argument against like Christian reliability or something. But as far as a general argument, it would simply have to just be that he's immoral, like just the thing of saying that God's unjust.
Problem of evil,
right? Simply because that usually the same person will then normally this is what I've experienced. It's the same most of the time. The same person is going to say that morality is subjective. So what I conclude from that is that the person is logically saying that the reason they don't believe in God is because they personally disagree with his method of how he does things on a moral basis. So in other words, you don't believe in God because he doesn't conform to what your standard of right and wrong is. If we're going by that standard, I entertain the idea. Okay, morality is subjective. Fine, let's go ahead and do that. But you simply just disagree with God because, or don't believe in him because how he does things is, kind of out of line with what you want in concerning morality. That's not a reason to dismiss something as existing. I don't like certain arguments from certain people, and I don't like Alex Botton's idea that we should have the legal right to punch Nazis. Doesn't make me have a reason to believe that Alex Botton doesn't exist.
Wait, Alex Botton says that?
Apparently, yeah, and there was a parody video made of it too, where it was a
I remember watching that Satan Atheist video.
Yeah, it was the one that was about punching Nazis. Wow, I'm punching Nazis. But yeah, so
I thought that was Steve Shives, but I guess he now subscribes to that too.
Steve Shives, all these other people, they make some stupid stuff that on a social, political level I would disagree on, but doesn't mean I would say they don't exist. So just because God does something or is said to do something, you shouldn't deny his existence because
you don't like him.
Right. You should deny the existence if there is no evidential stuff for that. And I think I can understand some people trying to go about it from that perspective. I can find them reasonable, but if someone goes along the lines and saying, well, he does this, so he doesn't exist, that is terrible argumentation and does not logically follow. It's better when you just simply say that you don't see any evidence or you fail to see how this would lead to him. So those are reasonable things to make the statements on, and I'm willing to debate and go on to that. And
I mean, speaking as an apatheist, I mean, I really don't see an interest in if there is like an agency known as a god or gods. I would be really interested in their, let's say, alignment or how they think, whether or not they actually exist or not. I mean, I'm really not concerned. I don't think there is one, but if there was, I wouldn't. I mean, honestly, it really wasn't. It really wasn't change. I think that honestly, I'm justified in my apatheism, and I don't even use the problem of evil. I use the like the argument from reasonable non-belief. You know, I think that's a better position to argue from than the problem of evil.
Mm-hmm. Right on. So,
from my personal experience,
mm-hmm.
From my personal experience, the worst argument is if God created the universe, then what caused God?
I still think that's reasonable. That's a reasonable.
Here's why I find the problem with it is explaining that it's the simple that the atheist trying to tag on the cosmological argument is if everything had a beginning, then if everything was created by God, then who created God? The one thing that I think is misunderstood about this is that the thing is that everything that has a beginning was created. So, and based on what we understand about God of the Bible, is that there was no beginning, that he is an eternal being. So as a result, he does not fall within the kalam because he never had a beginning, so therefore he is not a created being. That would logically follow.
As Aristotle pointed out.
Oh, wait. Aristotle actually commented on that?
Yeah, he's actually one of the original people who debunked that argument.
Oh, wait, which argument?
He used a deist view of God, had a deist. I shouldn't say that because I'm not too sure, but I've been hearing a lot of people who study philosophy, who look into philosophy, who have said that Aristotle was the original one who actually debunked the particular argument that people use with design to designer.
I think I remember reading something about Aristotle having some influence over the first two argument and actually helping to
breaking up a little bit there.
Yeah. Why I think that is a horrible argument in general is because if Aristotle debunked that years ago, that an eternal being, which by the way, that's an eternal being actually made the universe. Basically, the way that you refuted the point that it does not necessarily follow that being was created because it created an infinity. But the worst argument that I've heard here online with an atheist the worst argument I've heard here online by an atheist, by personal experience, is when I was in one of True Empiricism hangout, was one atheist was bringing up Genesis 19 as a support for God condoning rape.
Let me see that. 19.
To give you the context, Genesis 19 is about Lot and his daughters in Sodom and Gomorrah.
Okay. Oh yeah, now I remember that. Yeah.
Of him giving his daughters away to the men of Sodom so they didn't rape the angels. There was so much wrong with that. It's like basically that movie quote. All that you said here has been ridiculously stupid. It's so previously idiotically stupid. May God have mercy on your soul.
Oh, I forget what was that from? Billy Madison? Yeah, probably. Yeah. Wolf, were you trying to say something? Because we noticed you kind of were in and out. Were you having a problem with your mic? And it's doing it again.
I can't hear him.
Huh?
I can't hear him, so.
Yeah, I don't hear anything, so I don't know. But yeah, we're gonna try to wrap up here because I want to have some time to relax and watch Netflix so that I can watch 7 Deadly Sins because today season 2 came out, so I'm kind of pumped about that.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm still going to be on for a few more minutes to do the off-air portion of the Hangout. So I'm going to leave the link in the live chat. So if anyone wants to quickly grab it and join in for that time, then feel free to do so. So
Just don't be a troll.
Don't be a troll and don't be a sniper. Don't say why you would even want to. Anyways, we're going off air, so you ain't going to be noticed for it. But anyways, we're about to take this off air. Thank you all for coming on to Ask Christian Anarchist. Thank you for your questions in the live chat. You guys have been a wonderful blessing, and hopefully I was able to help you out as any way as I can. But tune in next week, next Friday, for when we continue with Ask Christian Anarchist number 20. Yay, we reached the 20 milestone.
Yay!
And Christian, man, sounds almost like a girl when he cheers.
Yay!
There you go. Okay. But yes, we're going to take us off air. So, as the usual, a shalom aleichem. Peace be upon you, because I wish that upon you. Have a good night.